Hi, Shane Session. Today we're going to talk about the best, or what people typically say is the best. For me, I call them influential drummers because the best is always somebody's opinion. But drummers that I talk about that were influential are drummers that forced me, because I liked what they were doing so much, to dive into listening to more of their stuff and just try to steal ideas. And I'm going to talk about two today, and they were more on the progressive side, even if they weren't considered progressive drummers. And what I mean by that is they were drummers that played something other than a straight beat or the norm of what a lot of stuff like that was on the radio. So one of them is Danny Seraphine. Danny Seraphine was the drummer for the band Chicago. I've always said Seraphine. It could be Seraphine, but early Chicago had that a little bit of jazz rock mix, a little bit of that fusion, a little bit of that exploratory uh, improvisational type sound, even when they had radio hits. And a lot of what Danny did was not what you would typically hear a straight ahead drummer do. And he played kind of that blend of jazz type fills and stuff in a jazz rock setting. And I could not get enough of Chicago. I listened a lot. And because I was such a fan of big band drumming and stuff, I could find elements in Danny's playing, ride cymbal patterns and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying he didn't play appropriately for the music, but he had a certain amount of leeway that obviously he knew how to be improvisational, but keep it in the realm of what was working musically. And so he's a drummer that I often emulated. And especially when I heard some of the radio hits, the what we commonly call "Make Me Smile," but really is part of a suite for a girl in Buchanan, I believe. But it's really a suite of several pieces. "Color My World" is part of it. But if you're not a huge Chicago fan, you would know that. You would just know the the main "Make Me Smile." But of course, we know "Saturday in the Park" and all those kind of things. But if you listen to "I'm a Man" and you listen to "Free" and you listen to some of those type of things, you hear Danny really stretching the boundaries and everything, and listening to things that made me want to copy things. So, but also I like the way he played the ballads like "Just You and Me" and "I've Been Searching So Long" and stuff like that. So I became a huge fan and really, really tried to copy a lot of what Danny did. So he was definitely an influence on me. The second one is Phil Ehart. I've always said Ehart from the band Kansas. Same thing. What could have been played could have been straight ahead, although there was odd time in there. I get that. But what I heard from Phil was I heard elements of things that I played and maybe in band rolls, double stroke rolls, and stuff like that. Now he had a lot of single stroke rolls around the toms to fit what was going on with the music, but he created a certain kind of energy and stuff. But I could hear broken patterns between the hi hat and the snare, or the ride cymbal, or the bell, and everything, and it just wasn't always straight ahead. He kind of fit and weaved in and out of the music in a way that I heard later that he wasn't necessarily a trained drummer in any way. I don't even think he read music or anything, but he was able to incorporate elements that you might hear a symphonic drummer play or something like that into those epic pieces by Kansas. And I became a huge fan because I could hear things that maybe I didn't know the stickings, but they could have been paradiddles, or I could hear things that were outside of the normal pop stuff on the radio, but had enough of a lure for me to try to learn and copy some of it. So, especially for me, I kind of went backwards on Kansas. I had heard a couple things, but obviously "Left Overture" was the rabbit hole I dug down first, and then went backwards a little bit, and then of course from that on, I went to "Song for America," and then I went to "Mask." But going forward, the "Point of No Return" and everything after that, I just became a huge Kansas fan, and became a fan of the drumming of Phil Ehart. So much so that I would try to learn things, and even before he went to a double bass set, I tried to, when I first went to a bigger kit, like 24-inch bass drums, single rack and two floors, a lot of it was inspired by the drumming and the pictures I had seen of Phil Ehart before he had expanded the kit. So he became a huge influence on me. So the two today, Danny Seraphine and Phil Ehart, because they did stuff that was seemed improvisational, but what it was is it wasn't just your typical 2 and 4, and there were elements of things that I grasped onto because I was a fan of big band drumming, or because I had learned rudiments and was in band playing symphonic pieces. I could hear things in Phil Ehart's drumming that seemed like he was playing symphonic pieces, just doing it on a drum set. So I became a huge fan of both. So influential drummers, more. There's going to be more, but to do the two today, Danny Seraphine, Chicago, Phil Ehart of Kansas. To me, influential, whether they're on your best list or not, doesn't matter. They're on mine.